The early morning sun filtered weakly through the tinted windows of Mavericks Industries' towering skyscraper, painting golden streaks across the glossy marble floors. The city outside was already stirring, horns honking, crowds bustling, people rushing toward their destinies. But inside this kingdom of glass and steel, it was a different kind of quiet. An eerie, sterile quiet, reserved only for the rich and powerful. Among the early arrivals was not a CEO or an executive in a tailored suit, but a petite woman in a navy blue uniform. Her name tag read Lena, with her head bowed, shoulders hunched under the weight of invisible burdens, and earbuds tucked into her ears whispering an old folk song from her hometown. Lena wheeled a mop bucket toward the elevator banks. Asterisk, at 24. Lena had worked as a cleaner in the corporate sector for 3 years. Quiet, dutiful, invisible, that's how people saw her, and to some extent, that's how she liked it. After her mother passed away and her only family scattered across distant provinces, the city became her survival ground. She avoided attention, steered clear of conflict, and mastered the art of disappearing into the background. But she held on to something precious, an old photograph folded carefully in her wallet, a photo of a little girl laughing with a boy. Under the summer sun, both barefoot in a village field, that photo was a piece of her soul. Asterisk, this particular Monday morning, everything was running behind schedule. The new supervisor had given her a larger area to clean, and to make matters worse, the floor maps had changed. Floor 42, which used to house archives, now held executive offices. Lena, unaware of the change, stepped off the elevator as usual, humming quietly, and pushed open the heavy glass door of what she believed to be a maintenance corridor. Instead, she entered an office so vast and opulent that she froze on the threshold. Asterisk, a panoramic window offered a breathtaking view of the skyline. An abstract art piece hung over a stone fireplace, and near the far end stood a massive glass desk with sleek silver legs. Papers were stacked in neat piles. A MacBook lay half open, and beside it sat a delicate silver frame with a photo inside. The sight of it knocked the breath from her chest. It was her, the same photo from her wallet, asterisk, that same carefree little girl in the sunflower dress, grinning with missing front teeth. Her arms slung around a boy's neck, the same boy who'd given her his lucky marble the day before he moved away. But how could that be? Why was this personal childhood photo on the desk of the CEO of one of the biggest companies in the country? Asterisk, her heart raced wildly, eyes darting around the room as if someone might jump out and accuse her of trespassing. She stepped closer, trembling, unable to resist the pull. The frame was clean, polished. Someone looked at this photo often. Next to it lay a polished stone-green marble. Her knees went weak. Then she heard the door click. Instinct took over. She ducked behind a large leather chair, her breath caught in her throat. She heard footsteps, confident, slow, unmistakably. Male, he was speaking on the phone, his voice low and smooth. She peeked over the edge and saw him, asterisk tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a slate-gray suit and charcoal tie. He tossed his keys on the desk, looked at the photo, and smiled softly.
What?
Yeah, I'll call you back, he said into his phone. Just got into the office. I know still no idea where she is, but I'll find her. Asterisk, Lena's blood turned to ice. Her? Who was he talking about? Asterisk, the Manali Maxwell, CEO of Mavericks, sat down and tapped his fingers on the desk, lost in thought. His gaze lingered on the photo, then shifted to the marble. It has to be her, he whispered, almost to himself. She's out there. You know it. Asterisk, Lena's hands clutched the back of the chair so tightly her knuckles turned white. She knew that name. Eli, the boy who'd been her best friend, who used to chase her through the cornfields, who promised to return one day. But how? Why now? Asterisk, she couldn't think. She couldn't breathe. Silently as possible, she crept backward toward the door. One wrong move, one creak of the floorboard, and she'd be seen. But just before she could escape, her elbow knocked into a vase, sending it toppling to the floor with a dramatic crash. Asterisk, Eli jumped to his feet, "Who's there?" Asterisk. Lena froze. It was over. Her body went numb as he strode around the desk and locked eyes with her. Asterisk. It took him a second to register her presence, but when he did, his mouth parted in stunned disbelief. Lena, asterisk, her breath caught in her throat. She wanted to deny it, to run. But something in his voice made her pause. That was the same voice that used to call her name across meadows. Older, deeper, but it was him. Asterisk, you know me? She whispered. Asterisk. Eli didn't answer. He took a few slow steps forward and stared at her like she was a ghost. I've been looking for you for 15 years. The silence between them was thick, trembling with old memories and new confusion. I didn't know. I wasn't supposed to be in here, she stammered, her voice cracking. I thought this was the storage corridor. I was just cleaning. Asterisk. He cut her off gently. You haven't changed much. Still hiding when you're scared. Asterisk. The words hit her. With a rush of warmth and panic, asterisk. I'm just a cleaner, she muttered, backing away. You've made a mistake. That girl in the photoette's probably someone else. Asterisk. But Eli reached into a drawer and pulled out another photo, this one crumpled, torn at the edges. It was the boy's version of the same memory. You gave me this the day before I left, he said, so you don't forget me. I never did. Asterisk. Tears welled in Lena's eyes. The photo was real. And now he was a millionaire. A CEO, and she was just a cleaner in his building. Asterisk. I don't belong in your world, she said, voice shaking. This was a mistake. I shouldn't be here. Asterisk. But before she could bolt, Eli stepped in front of her. Lena, please, don't run again. His eyes were filled with something she hadn't seen in a long time, hope. But Lena couldn't stay. Not yet. It was too much. Asterisk. She turned and fled down the hall, leaving her mop, bucket, and shattered composure behind. Asterisk. And Eli? He watched her go, then whispered, I found you. I'm not letting you disappear again. Lena didn't stop running until she reached the janitor's supply room on the basement level. Her breaths came in shallow gasps. Her palms were slick with sweat, and her heart pounded against her ribcage like a trapped bird. The fluorescent light above her flickered as if it too were overwhelmed by the moment. She pressed her back against the wall and slid down, hugging her knees as 100. Thoughts crashed into each other in her mind. Eli had recognized her. The boy from her childhood, the only one who ever made her feel seen, was now the most powerful man in the entire building. And she'd found her childhood photo on his desk. How? Why? It felt like something out of a dream. But the truth was more terrifying than any dream. She was just a cleaner now. He was a CEO. Their worlds were galaxies apart. Asterisk. She stayed in that small, stuffy room for almost an hour, pretending to clean supplies, pretending to inventory rags. When she finally emerged, she avoided the elevators and took the stairs. The corner of the building felt like it was watching her. Every voice sounded like his. She wanted to disappear again, just like she had when her family left the village and never looked back. For days, Lena stuck to the lower floors. She switched shifts with coworkers, took the night slots, avoided anything that might put her near the executive suites. But fate had a way of finding people who tried to hide. Asterisk. 3 days later, a note arrived in the janitor's break room. Wasn't written on fancy letterhead or even typed. It's just a simple hand-scrawled message folded in half. Asterisk. Meet me on the rooftop at 7 p.m., Eli? Asterisk. She stared at the note for a long time. She didn't know how it got there. No one saw who delivered it. But she knew she would go. Something inside, her something small and stubborn and curious, pushed her to climb those stairs again. Asterisk. The rooftop of Maverick's tower was nothing like she imagined. It was quiet, peaceful, and surrounded by lush greenery planted in sleek steel. Planters. Fairy lights lined the railing, and in the middle stood Eli, wearing a simple shirt and slacks, looking less like a CEO and more like the boy she used to know. He turned when he saw her, his eyes lighting up with something between relief and awe. Asterisk. You came, he said. Asterisk. Lena nodded cautiously, stopping a few steps away. I shouldn't have. This isn't right. Asterisk, why not? He asked gently. Because you clean floors and I sit in a glass office? Asterisk, exactly, she replied bitterly. You've built a life up there, and I'm just someone you used to know down here. Asterisk. Eli walked closer, his voice soft but sure. Lena, I've searched. For you since I was 16. I hired private investigators. I combed through school records, foster systems, even old utility bills in our village. I never stopped looking. Asterisk. She shook her head. Why? He pulled something from his pocket. The same photo, worn at the edges now, but lovingly kept. Because this photo was the last time I remembered feeling like I mattered to someone before everything changed. You made me believe I wasn't alone. Asterisk. Lena's eyes shimmered with tears. She didn't want to cry. But I am alone now, Eli. That little girl doesn't exist anymore. Life didn't wait for me to catch up. I had to survive. Asterisk. I know, he whispered. I know. And I'm not here to drag you back into some fairy tale version of our past. I just want to know you again. It's a real you. Whatever that means now. Asterisk. For the first time in a long time, Lena let herself breathe. The skyline behind them glittered like a sea of fallen stars. She didn't speak for a long while. Finally, she said, You've changed too. Asterisk. I had too, he replied, but not all of me. Asterisk. They stood in silence, two old souls tethered by something deeper than memory. Eventually, he motioned toward a small table nearby. Coffee, 2 sandwiches, nothing fancy. Asterisk. Stay for dinner? He asked. She hesitated, then nodded. Over the next hour, they really talked. About the village, their shared childhood, the night he left, and the years in between. He told her about his rise, his company, how he always felt like he was building something for the day he might find her. She told him about losing her mother, working odd jobs, and how the world looked different from the bottom. There were no grand declarations, just truth and time unraveling between them like a long-lost thread. Asterisk. By the time they left the rooftop, something had shifted. Asterisk. The next morning, Lena returned to work as usual, but this time her head wasn't bowed. She walked with purpose, still in her uniform, still carrying her mop, but something inside her had straightened. She didn't speak to Eli in front of others. He didn't treat her any differently. But every once in a while, she'd catch him watching her from the executive hallway, a ghost of a smile on his lips. Asterisk. 2 weeks later, she was summoned to human resources. Panic gripped her again, fearing she'd done something wrong. She walked in. The HR manager smiled. Asterisk. Congratulations, the woman said. You've been nominated for Mavericks' internal scholarship and mentorship program. Full training, classes, a chance to move into administration. Asterisk. What? Lena blinked, confused. I didn't apply for anything. Asterisk. You were recommended by the CEO himself. Asterisk. Lena didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Her fingers trembled as she held the offer letter. For the first time in her life, someone powerful had opened a door for her, not out of pity, it's not out of charity, but because he saw something in her that others had missed. Asterisk. Later that evening, she went to thank Eli, but when she reached his office, she found it empty. Just the photo still sitting on his desk, and a note beside it. Asterisk. This time, I'm not going to leave. But I'm not going to pull you toward me either. You walk your path, Lena. I'll be right here, waiting, cheering, and believing in you. Eli. Asterisk. She held the note to her chest. Her eyes closed. That little girl from the village might have grown up, might have been bruised by life, but she hadn't disappeared. She was still there. And now, finally, she wasn't walking alone. Asterisk.